Hello, everyone in YouTube world. So, today's topic, probably the last one for this month, about relationships. I, as I said before, I was going to go over a list of things here that when I ChatGTP and grasp. And I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'm going to talk about some of the things that it did come up with. And the reason why I did it, I kind of wanted to make it more. I don't like doing the script thing. And I was going to do that, but I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to make it personal. I want to make it from my heart. I don't want to be reading from something and just reading it out to you guys just to make content. I didn't want to do that. And like I said, my channel isn't about that. And also, but I'll talk about this topic that I was just about to talk about maybe next month. But anyway, relationship. The hard truth about relationships, no one wants to admit. That's what this is about. Uh, like I said, I talked about relationship with yourself and getting yourself together before you can have a relationship with others. Today is kind of that. But most relationships don't, or I'm sorry, most relationships don't fail because of cheating or fighting. They fail because two people avoid uncomfortable truths for too long. That's what it came up with here. And I do agree. I agree all, like, to my heart. I really agree. Most of the times we get together off of a lie. And that lie is, I love you. We all wait for that famous word, I love you. When, to be honest with you, I don't think we really know what love is if we don't love ourselves. And I don't think that people know what love is when it comes down to a relationship between a male and a female. I do think people know what love is when it comes to a parent-child relationship. That is a deep one. And you could get that in a relationship as well with a male and a female when you're meeting your mate. And for those that, I'm just going to stand there, right? Anyway, so one of the first, I guess, sections or topics was love doesn't fix what you refuse to work on. Attraction, emotional maturity, chemistry fades faster than unresolved issues. Why efforts matter more than feelings. This is under that thing, under the love doesn't fix what you refuse to work on. All that stuff is true, but the core thing, like I said last week, is you have to fix and you have to work on yourself before you get into any relationship. Because if you can't have a relationship with God and yourself, how can you have a relationship with anyone else? And I went through, if you watched my last week video and the video that I attached on there, which I'll probably attach both of them again to the end of this one, you have to build that relationship within yourself. And you have to love yourself before you can even put any love out there for anybody else. And that's not just a love between a male female. It's a love within yourself that you could show to others, and others will feel that. So to go back to the topic, it's hard to talk about. It's the hard truth about relationships is no one wants to talk about or admit is because people avoid uncomfortable truths for too long about themselves. They don't know themselves. And many people try to, when it goes to hear about attraction, emotional maturity, if you don't if you don't have that yourself, again, by loving yourself, it's not going to work. The second thing they came up with in this, it's like the core section as they talk about, is you're not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong person. The danger of potential versus reality, why people stay hoping something will change, and how ignoring patterns waste years. That bottom line right there affects one of my children. How ignoring patterns waste years. They've been with a person for years. And I guess they're hoping that they would change and they haven't. It's just gotten worse. And for years, they've gotten nowhere in life. And basically, they were waiting for them to fix them. You can't count on somebody else to fix you. You can't count on anybody else to tell you who you are. You can't count on uh, hoping that someone will change if you kind of know who you are. And another thing, if you do know who you are and you're waiting for somebody to change and you're that person trying to change that person, how can you change somebody if they don't know who they are? You can't do that. Now you're setting yourself up for like it says, a potential danger versus the reality. The reality is this person's not going to change because they don't know who they are. And if they're just out there, if they're not, again, if they just said, I love you just to keep you around, you got to look at this stuff. So again, if you love yourself, you're not going to stick around for that. Again, I have to say this, I was blessed in my first marriage that God pulled me out of that. I'm glad that my ex took off because who knows, I probably would be stuck in the first one and the second one. But anyway, and again, you could learn about that in my other two videos. So I'm not going to get deep into that. The third thing that it came up with was most people don't want partnerships. They want comfort. This is so true. Emotional convenience versus commitment. Why going through the motions kills intimacy. And how resentment quietly builds. Those are all perfect. I mean, like ChatGTP hit this right on the head. Most people don't want partnerships. They want comfort. They just want somebody there. They don't want to be alone. That's some people's biggest things. They don't want to be alone. So they get in a relationship that means nothing to them. But at the same token, under the same breath, I'm saying not the token, under the same breath, it goes back to the second thing, the danger of potential versus reality. You know this person's not good for you. It's going to be a toxic relationship, but just because of comfort, you don't want to be alone. You're in this relationship that you don't want to be in, or maybe it's a financial thing. You just want this person around for financial security. It's not gonna work. Look at the old relationships back in the day when basically parents said, oh, you got to get a husband to the females. You got to get a husband to take care of you. You can't do it yourself. This brainwash to the woman. Like she can't do anything. She has to have a man in her life. I'm like, okay, that's not how God put it, but if that's what people want to program into people, I I'm not into that. I think people can do better off by themselves because that's what the Bible says. You're better off being by yourself, so you don't have to go through this stuff. And if you don't believe me, you need to read the Bible. I'll look it up and probably put the verse in here, but it says you're better off being by yourself. But in another area where I put it several times, a man who finds a good woman finds a great thing. It might not say exactly like that, but that's pretty much what it says. If I've got a great woman and I got a great life. Again, most people just get into a relationship because of comfort. Maybe again might be financial, loneliness, just have somebody to fight with. Because sometimes people just want somebody to argue with, which is weird, but that's how some people are. They just want to argue. They like to debate. They'll put it that way. Why'd you like to debate? But that other person's looking for a relationship. They don't want to be debating or arguing all the time. Who wants to do that? It's ridiculous. Another one. Let's see. 4, communication isn't talking, it's being honest without fear. That's number 4. Under that topic, it was like why people stay silent to keep the peace. Yes, I've seen and heard that, and I've done it one time. Where you don't want to argue or debate, like I just said in the last one. How unspoken needs turn into distance. True. Because if you're not speaking, you're not going to say anything, and you're going to split apart. But again, the person who just wants somebody there for comfort, they don't care how far apart you are as long as you're there in the room, as long as you have that warm body. Saying saying the hard thing early versus blowing up later, which is true. I'm a little lost with words with that one, explaining that one, but that is true. Sometimes you just want to get it out of the way. I'll probably put it that way. You just want to get the argument or debate out of the way right away by telling the truth, stating the truth, and then arguing about it then and there instead of it building up into you and it just turns out into an ugly, ugly fight later on, because that can happen. 5, being alone is better than being unchosen. I just said that. That's what the Bible says. Loneliness inside relationships. Yes, you could have a partner, but still feel like you're all by yourself because either they're a workaholic or they like to be out around people. You've got people where you're an introvert and they're an extrovert, and that mate loves you, you love them, but they like to be out all the time. They like to go out. They need people around them. The extrovert needs people around them because that's how they are. They just need people to be around, talk to, and they want you there. But you being the introvert, you don't want to be around all those people. You just want it to be you and them. Safety over drama. I'm sorry, I went to the last topic that it came up with, but why staying can damage self-respect. That's under being alone is better than being unchosen. Why staying can damage self-respect. I would probably say this is kind of a good one too. I'm kind of lost with explaining this one, but I'm gonna try again. Sometimes you don't want to be alone, or you want to be in a relationship. So, say for instance, I kind of have an example. So, this one person told me that they were dating somebody, and this person had told them they were snobbish because the person who said they were snobbish couldn't afford things. I'm talking pretty much almost like basic things, not like I want things, but just I need things. And they were saying, "Oh, you can do without that." No, you can't. You need it. But they were saying that to this person, and the person told me that the person said that they were snobbish, that the rich taste. And I said, "Well, why did they say that? What brought that situation up?" And the person's something that the person had. And the reason why I'm trying to avoid certain things is if they watch this video, I don't want them to, hey, you just talk about what I told you. I don't want that to happen. The thing that the person had was something that they needed because it was like a kind of a life necessity for them. It wasn't a want type thing. It was a life necessity. And the other person was like, well, how can I put it? Just do this, and then you won't need that. And the just do this was like kind of nasty. I'm like, no one would want to do it, especially if you got this thing that you need, which would suffice and do the right job. If you had it, you wouldn't have to do what they had stated. So I'm like, well, I said, look, if You rather do the right thing and be clean, be sanitary, look nice, meaning presentable, be presentable, whatever it may be in life. And it's based off of a need. I said, if they're calling you snooty because of that, so be it. Because I'd rather be snooty than to be, uh, see, I don't want to offend people. I'd rather be snooty than to be nasty. I'll put it that way. That's the best way to put it, to be nasty. Yeah. I was going to use the example of what I meant by nasty, but some people do it. And I think it's nasty, but a lot of people do it and they don't think it's nasty, but I do it. But I'm not going to say what it is. Okay, moving on. The moment you realize you deserve more, that only comes when you, again, know who you are, you love God, and you love yourself. That's when the moment you realize you deserve more, you'll create that list that I was talking about. You'll create a list of what you want out of that individual. And once that individual hits those marks, you got that person. You got what you deserve because that's what you were looking for. And that goes back up to this statement kind of supports, where was it? That was the last question. Why staying can damage self-respect. You will downgrade what you want just to have somebody in your life, just like it's saying, be alone is better than being unchosen. You will select a person that you don't want just to have somebody in your life. It's not worth it. It's kind of like when I tell my children, don't go and buy something cheap because of the price. You want to go buy something that best fits that price, something that has quality for a good price. For instance, I used to buy cheap shoes back in the day, where the Kmart track shoes. And then I went up to Puma. I never would buy the Nikes, the other Reeboks, the good brand shoes, or I'm sorry, the good build shoes, because they were expensive and I couldn't grasp. It's a shoe. I'm like, what the heck? So my arches were hurting. So I went to the doctor to get a physical. And I told him about my arches. And he goes, if I don't want to have feet problem, I need to stop wearing cheap shoes. So we were talking, and he mentioned the Skechers, which were back then a good brand for not a lot of money, and two other pairs of shoes. But he goes, yeah, Nike, Reeboks, all those higher end shoes that cost a lot. He goes, unfortunately, they are built with quality wise, so you'll have to pay, but they do also last longer. So you got to average out your costs and see if it was worth the spend. So I teach my children that. Don't always look at the price on something. Don't always look at the cover of the package that you're getting. When my wife saw me and we met, I didn't dress up. I came as I am because, like I said, I loved who I was. I just got off of work, looking scrungy, and we were just meeting as friends. And I figured if she liked me, she liked me. If she doesn't, so be it. She had told me when we started dating and stuff, she goes, I saw the diamond in the rough. And I looked around, I'm like, okay, she must be talking about somebody else. Yeah, she must have been talking about somebody else. Anyway, I'm joking about that. She said, I found, I knew I had a diamond in the rough. And she was right. If we were going out on a real date, like I said, we were just meeting as friends and there was no commitment about a relationship. We were just meeting as friends that day. So I wasn't dressing up. She took it as that we were, and she'll still say it today. She took it as it was a date. It wasn't a date. It was just meeting up as friends. And I think I spoke about that in a video as well. you can't, how can I put it? You can't let your self-worth go because of somebody that's not worth the high quality that you are. I'll put it that way. You got to let it go. Don't stay in that type of relationship. So the sixth and last topic was what healthy love actually looks like. Consistency over intensity. I can't even tongue tied. Intensity. Safety over drama. Growth instead of control. That control, what that could fall under the being alone is better than being chosen. That control can be that last topic too. The moment you realize you deserve someone else, when somebody's trying to control you and tell you what to do, and you don't want to do it. And it also can be why staying can damage self-respect. That could be in that as well. That control thing. You don't want to be in that type of situation. Me and my wife, I've like I said, I've noticed that I'm turning into more of an introvert than a extrovert. She's more the extrovert. She likes to be out and socialize. She's a social butterfly. I told her, I said, I don't care if you want to go out and hang out, you know, wives' night out, whatever it may be, just hanging out and having fun. I said it doesn't bother me. I don't mind, sticking around the house. But there's times where, it's a couple's night. Yeah, let's go. You know, this is one thing. Since meeting her, I've changed with wanting to have functions. So they call us when we do have a function, hostess of the mostest, because we like to make sure everybody has a very good time. So we try to pull out all the fun tricks and things to do for people to have fun. So she's brought that out in me, the yin and the yang, like I had stated before. As for safety over drama, that's another one that's kind of hard to, because even in a bad relationship, I don't think I worried about my safety until like my ex, our final breakup. But I don't recall too much about a safety. The only thing I can think of for safety is if somebody's getting beaten or controlling. You don't want to be in something like that. You really don't. If somebody's knocking you down, you don't want to give up your self-respect. You really don't. That's just, if you do that, you don't like yourself. I have to say, you do not like yourself. And you need to just sit back and reflect and get to know who you are. Consistency over intensity. I'm going to say that's where you're always having fun versus drama, always arguing and fighting, always a new thing to fight over, just trying to cause trouble, conflict in a relationship. That's what I'm thinking that is. I hope you enjoyed this little time about this ChatGTP thing that I just went over about relationships. It was kind of interesting. It was fun to see, kind of fun to kind of think about. But the most important thing is that I'm looking at, if you're wondering why I'm looking now, I'm looking at the screen that I'm reading these questions from. But the right relationship doesn't save you. It changes you. It stretches you. It meets where efforts lie, or I'm sorry, lives, not excess. No excuses. No excuses whatsoever. That's what the right relationship does for you. But it won't save you. You got to save yourself. No one can save you. You have to save yourself. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, or if you have any input on some of these topics that I just talked about, hey, put them in the comments, talk about it, let everybody else talk about it, give your opinions. But don't try to knock somebody else's opinion. Just give your opinion and call it a day. With that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.